y'all, welcome back to the second part of our video in preparation for Easter during quarantine 2020. I've got Georgia with me on this video clip, and we're gonna make some blueberry scones that we're gonna jazz up a little bit with some lemon zest to make them super spring, super perfect for Easter brunch this coming up year. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is a recipe that you can kind of change things up and adapt, make it how you like it. But today we're gonna use some fresh blueberries. You can use frozen blueberries. We're gonna use some fresh lemon zest as well. And I'm gonna let Georgia pretty much get started. So what we've got here is all our dry ingredients. If you'll go ahead and combine, we've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour in our bowl. All right. We've got half a cup of sugar we're gonna add. There you go, baby. So if there's ever one way to really connect with your kids, it's through cooking. It's such a personal sharing experience. It's a great opportunity to bring back memories of your own childhood. Brings back memories of my childhood with my grandparents cooking in their kitchen. So we've got our 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We've got half a cup of regular white granulated sugar. To that, we're going to add our spices. We've got, we've got 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. We have a half a teaspoon of salt, and we have 2½ teaspoons of baking powder. You can add it in there. And you can use this to get any of the good stuff out if you need to. There you go. And while you're getting that mixed up, I'm going to grab our very cold butter. Okay. So this is basically a sweet biscuit. And this is exactly how you would make homemade biscuits anyway. You've got your flour, and always use as cold of ingredients as you can. So we already diced up 1 stick of butter. Now, I personally prefer to use unsalted butter when we cook so that we can control the level of salt in it. So we're gonna switch utensils. Now, you can get real jazzy and use your fingertips, but I prefer to use a pastry cutter. Some of us have warm fingertips and it melts our butter too fast. So yeah, you just dump her in there. There you go. Got it? All right. And we're going to use our pastry cutter, and we're just going to cut the butter into the flour. There you go. And you want to cut the butter in until it's pretty coarse, and you're not seeing any major big chunks. You want to see some small pieces of the butter throughout. And what we're going to do once this is cut in real good, we are going to put this whole bowl of the dry ingredients with the butter cut in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. If you want to throw it in the freezer for about 5 minutes. So just a little trick when the butter, see how the butter got kind of jammed up, just use a fork or a spoon or anything you have on hand and push it back through. And then what I like to do, so it doesn't get stuck back in there, I like to give my dry mixture a little bit of a stir to cut the butter pieces, and then keep cutting. There we go. So ever since Georgia was a little girl, she's been helping me in the kitchen. I don't even know what the first thing was that sweet potato casserole. There's nothing that she helps me with that isn't sweet. All right, keep cutting, pushing hard. So if you rotate the bowl as you go, it kind of helps you out a little bit too. Cut, 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 cut. There we go. And occasionally you might need to knock off that buildup on the sides again. There you go. We hope you all are spending some time with the kiddos in the kitchen during this quarantine time. With Easter coming up, maybe you can get online and find some fun recipes. I know that it's hard to get some ingredients right now, but it's also fun to experiment with what you got on hand. All right, almost there, and then we'll show y'all what it should look like. And if the kids make a mess, no worries, because we have all the time in the world to clean up. Smell the cinnamon?
Yeah, it smells really good.
It smells fabulous. All right, let's scrape it off one more time, and I think that looks good. So we're gonna take the whole bowl, we're gonna throw it in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna come back to it. Remember, we wanna keep our ingredients super cold. That's what makes them fluff up. We'll come back to it, and we're gonna add our wet ingredients. All good? All right, guys, so we've got our dry ingredients out of the refrigerator. They're nice and cold. We wanna make sure the butter stays nice and cold so that we can get our scones to puff up and be delicious. So what we're gonna do now to our cold ingredients is we're gonna go ahead and add the rest of our wet. So what we have here, we have half a cup of buttermilk. If you have heavy cream, that's fine too, but you wanna use something that has some fat in it. Go ahead and pour it in there. And then you wanna use this to scrape it out. There you go.
How much was in here?
So this was half a cup, 4 ounces. We're also gonna add 1 egg. There you go. And you can pick what color egg you wanna add. Best thing about having farm fresh eggs is having chickens that lay lots of different colors, so we get lots of beautiful eggs.
Can you use a bowl?
Yep, why don't you just crack it in here so that if we get any shell, we'd be able to see it and pop and get it out. That was a fast crack. There we go. All right, and we're gonna add that in there. Now, one of the things that we do here, unfortunately, we cannot do it at the market, but I do it at home a lot, is I make homemade vanilla. So we're gonna be using homemade vanilla for the recipe today. And it's such an easy thing to do. Once you get your vanilla started, it's just a matter of maintaining it. So we've had this vanilla made, gosh, maybe a year and a half. And we just continue to add our liquid to it, and it keeps going. And you can also get your vanilla beans and snip them off and use vanilla seeds if you ever need to. But maybe we'll do a little video on how to make your homemade vanilla. All right, so Georgia, we need to add 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. And now, because of the jar it's in, we're gonna let me pour it. Look at all the little flecks of vanilla bean in there. All right, that's a half. So let's do that one. So there's 2 things, and I've said this many times, that you can never have enough of in cooking, obviously, is vanilla and garlic. We got a little, well, we overflowed it, which will be a-okay, because vanilla makes everything better. All right, go ahead and turn it all together. There we go. And the last thing we're gonna add, or 2 things. Remember, we're gonna add some lemon zest. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna zest this up some lemon. Watch your little elbow so I don't mess you up.
It's so cold.
Use your best judgment depending on how much vanilla or how much lemon you like. I'm gonna do probably about 3/4 of this lemon zest in here. And just the zest alone will be enough to add lots of that fresh lemon flavor. And then I'm gonna save this lemon. Whenever they come out, I'm gonna make a nice lemon glaze. So it's gonna be real thick. We're gonna add about 180 grams of blueberries. I'd call that maybe 1.5 cups. All right, so now we're gonna fold them in and be very gentle so we don't break them up. You can use frozen blueberries. That's fine too, either way. So while George is folding that up, I'm gonna clear off a little spot. This is when it gets a little messy. There you go, that looks good. You wanna hold the bowl up so they can see what it looks like? Okay, so we're just folding in the blueberries so they can get nice and incorporated. Just like with biscuits, you don't wanna overwork your dough. You don't wanna get you don't wanna handle it too much, it'll make it tense. Now we're gonna cut our scones with a biscuit cutter today. You can cut it into rectangles, you can cut it into triangles, traditional, doesn't really matter. But today we're gonna use our cookie cutter, our biscuit cutter. So we're gonna throw some flour on your very clean countertop. Flour your hands. All right, baby. Yeah, you can just rub them right there. And we're gonna turn our dough out. And we're gonna get a little messy. A little dry in there left. so good. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of bring it all together and get all our good little blueberries in there. Kind of fold it and make it a nice little ball. Now you don't need a rolling pin to do this. If it gets kind of sticky, you can just sprinkle a little bit of flour on top. We're gonna bring it together in a ball. And occasionally you might have to pick it up and reflour the bottom. See how it kind of got sticky right there? Move some flour around. There you go. And then we're going to pat it out. Here we go. Sprinkle a little more flour. Watch your hand there. All right. Flour your cookie cutter. Here we go. I'm going to call that probably that's about a ½ inch or so thick. And I'll let you cut some out and just put them right in. We're going to brush the tops with some heavy cream. We're going to put these back in the refrigerator or freezer for about 20 minutes before we bake them off. So we've got, now if you have what I'd prefer to use that I'm out of, sugar in the raw would be a great sugar to use. But because we're out of it, we're just gonna use some regular granulated sugar. And I love the sugar on top. Don't skip this part. This gives a nice crunch to the very flaky biscuit. All right, so we're gonna throw these in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes, and we're gonna preheat our oven to 400 degrees, and we'll pop them in the oven. Alright guys, so our scones just came out of the oven, 400 degrees, 20 to 22 minutes. Our oven took 22 minutes for these today. We're gonna make a quick little glaze with some lemon juice, a little bit of half and half, or heavy cream if you have, powdered sugar, a pinch of salt, and we're just gonna whisk it all together. So I'm going to add, and there's really no measurements on this, guys. You just gonna have to play around with it and see what works for you. If I were to guess, I'd probably say about maybe half a cup of powdered sugar. And I'm just using a teaspoon from the house. Okay?
Are we juicing lemon?
Yep, I'm gonna cut it in half and squeeze some juice. Just a teeny tiny little pinch of salt helps bring out the lemon. No, we're just gonna squeeze it by hand. Okay, just cut it in half. The little trick whenever you're gonna juice a lemon, is just roll it on the counter and soften it up a little bit. You'll notice this is the same lemon that we used for the zest for our scones. So just cut it in half. Okay, perfect. Now we're not gonna use this whole, in fact, I'm just gonna use this teeny tiny part. I'm gonna squeeze it. I'm not gonna get the big fancy juicer out. I'm just gonna catch any seeds that might leak out with my fingers. So you can really control how much lemon flavor you want. And if you're not a lemon person, you can totally omit putting lemon juice in there at all. Okay, so there is our lemon juice. And you can go ahead and start stirring it up a little bit. And now we're gonna add a little bit of cream just to thin it out a little bit more. You can adjust the consistency of the glaze with the cream. So if you want a real thick glaze, you want to make sure you don't add too much cream. If you add too much cream, you can always add more powdered sugar. This real quick. All right, so we need to add a little bit more cream. See how thick it is? I'm gonna add just a little bit more cream to thin it out. And then I'll show you what the consistency should look like. I'm going to have some coffee and a fabulous scone. So this is my preferred. And we use mason jars for everything. Everything. We drink out of mason jars, we store food in mason jars, we measure in mason jars, okay? So this is the consistency that I prefer. If you want it to be a little bit thicker, you're just gonna add a little less cream. You smell? Okay, so I'm gonna do one, show Georgia how to do it, and then I'm gonna let her ice in the rest. And it's not gonna take too much, just like that. Alright guys, last thing to do is put them on a fun little plate. Just because we can't go anywhere doesn't mean that we can't have something that looks pretty. So we'll scoop them out. And if you have loved ones that can't get out, and you can go drop off a fun little treat for them, this would be a fabulous little Easter surprise for them to make this weekend and drop off. But until next time, we're gonna enjoy a cup of coffee, we're gonna enjoy each other's company, we're gonna enjoy the front porch, and we're gonna enjoy some blueberry scones. Thanks for watching, y'all.